Basic extrication techniques. Now I want to look at some basic extrication techniques. Nowadays, the bulk of motor vehicle collisions with people who are trapped usually involves light motor vehicles. However, the term light motor vehicle is hard to define, but we generally mean passenger vehicles such as your family car. The problem as well is that these modern vehicles now incorporate advanced constructional design and materials that, whilst providing greater survivability rates to the patients, they do present more difficulties to the rescuer. Now, each motor vehicle crash is unique. No two are the same, so you've got to treat them all differently. Variables such as the type and number of vehicles involved, their position, number and the conditions of the patients may be different. Now, these, along with any other associated hazards, all play a role in determining the appropriate actions to take and their sequence. Now, let's go through some basic techniques that you should be aware of. Firstly, let's look at stabilisation. First of all, stabilisation. What is the objective of stabilisation? Well, it's to minimise the movement of the vehicle that may negatively affect any entrapped patients. Don't forget, this part of the extrication should be carried out before other extrication efforts are made. Make the vehicle stable. Now, when looking at stabilisation, a vehicle should have at least 3 points. As you can see here, 3 points. However, if possible, you should have 4 points for stabilisation, as you can see here. So your minimum is 3 points. However, ideally 4 points. That's the 3-point system, and there's a 4-point system. Ideally, you want the 4-point system. Now, if you do decide on the 3-point system, think ahead and make sure you block one side, as you can see here, and it's the same as the one you're going to perform a dashboard roll on. So if you're going to do the 3-point system, make sure the one is where you're going to carry out the dashboard roll. In this way, the block below the B pillar is already in place, as you can see there, that one there. Let's look at the procedure of stabilisation itself using the 4-point system when a vehicle is on its wheel. So this is when it's on its wheel. Let's look at this system here. Firstly, as with all incidents, stabilise the wheels first. As you can see, that's the first thing you do, stabilise the wheels. Then you put in your blocks. Then you place your stabilising blocks under the vehicle at the following 4 points. So you've stabilised the wheels, 4 points there. 1, 2, 3, 4. This gives you this zone covering 4 points. Do you see? That's that, very stable. Firstly, double chock 1 or 2 of the wheels. Then, stabilisation blocks should be secured in place by wedging with only enough pressure to ensure that they're snug. Okay? Now, when using step chocks, a wedge can be used to secure the chock itself. An inverted step chock may also work on soft ground if this is what you're working on. So make sure if you're going to use these, you use a wedge to secure the chock as well. What about if the vehicle's on its side? Well, if the vehicle's on its side, you should stabilise it using blocks and wedges as shown here. And then you can use the ram to stabilise it. Can you see there the ram? Stabilise it there and make sure you use a ram. That's if it's on its side. Now that vehicle is not going anywhere. That's stable. Now, to ensure the vehicle does not fall over, you should support it under the A and the C pillars. So remember we said the pillars were A and C pillars. Make sure you think ahead and don't place stabilising blocks where you might need to cut as well. So think ahead, don't put your stabilising blocks where you need to cut. Now, you can shore the vehicle up with mechanical struts, wood or metal, or with hydraulic or pneumatic struts, which we mentioned earlier, as you can see here. There, that's in place, that's not going to go anywhere. Then you can fasten the struts in place by using the tension belts or mechanical mechanism. As you can see here, they're putting in the tension belts there to keep the vehicle stable. On mechanical struts, you can use wedges, as you're shown here. If you've got a mechanical strut, you can use wedges to give it a stable platform. Now, depending on the situation, it may also be necessary to use shoring to stabilise the roof side of the vehicle. As you can see here, you may want to use that on this other side to shore up. This video is going to show you in action. With a vehicle on its roof, these are the stabilisation points you should use when the vehicle is on its roof. This shows you an aerial view of where you should place the stabilisation point. Can you see there's the stabilisation point if the vehicle is on its roof? Let's go through the process then. Well, firstly, you chock the space between the back of the vehicle and the ground. As you can see there, chock that up there to stabilise it. Then you should use additional blocks to the space between the engine compartment and the windscreen for added stability. As you can see there, shoring it up there. Let's look at a video showing you it in practice. That covers a brief overview of making vehicles stable when they are found in different positions. So there's different ways of doing this, achieving it, but you've got to make sure the vehicle is stable. Make sure it's stable.